What's up, everyone? I'm Scott,
And I'm Jason.
and you're listening to Liquid Carnage. Uh, the season is upon us. It is the
Yes.
best 6 month span of the year. We are now officially in football season. When this show releases, game one of tonight, the Buffalo Bills at your world champion Los Angeles Rams.
Yes. Yeah,
Um,
what a great game to start the season. It's going to be awesome.
right? I am very excited for the fact that I can just sit and enjoy this game because I have no fantasy players on either
Oh,
team.
okay.
Not from lack of trying.
I've got a couple offensive players, so we'll see.
Yeah. No, I noticed in our dynasty league you tried to draft all the Rams you could, and
I tried.
people got in your way, so that's good.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Exactly.
but it's
But yeah,
exciting.
no. Today is going to be a great day. All the anticipation. Although I'm on date night tonight, so Noreen and I are going to go see a play at the Phoenix Theater downtown. So I will not be watching the game. I will be having a date night with my lovely.
Oh, that's very
So
nice.
so I'm going to do that. But it doesn't matter. It's a foregone conclusion that the Rams are going 20-0. And it's
Are
just
they?
yeah, 20
All
and
right.
0, 20 and 0. With
Okay.
the Lombardi Trophy,
Okay. Well, we can all dream. I
There
guess
we
you
go.
still have a weekend hangover from the holiday weekend. That's fine. So are you picking the Rams to repeat this year?
I'm picking the Rams to go to the Super Bowl for the NFC. I'm not picking them to win the championship, though.
Who do you have them playing in the Super Bowl?
Oh, are we already doing that already? I gotta think it's gonna be the last game of the season is gonna match the first game of the season. I think that the Buffalo Bills are legit, and I am excited to see what they produce this year. So I'm going Bills champions over the Rams.
That is a great pick. I would love, in an ideal world, for the third home team in a row to win in their home stadium and have an Arizona victory this year for the Super Bowl. But I am not that big of a dreamer. I do love Buffalo. I think they're great. I think Cincinnati, if they can get back into the playoffs, can do it again. So I'm going to call a repeat of last year's Super Bowl of the Bengals and the Rams, except this time I have Joe Ice taking home the MVP and the Lombardi.
Okay, that sounds great. That sounds all good. That
Yes.
sounds perfect. And the great part is if it was an Arizona Cardinal representative, I'd be totally fine. So just want to put that out there.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That.
Because
So
you know me, I mean, I root for the Cardinals unless they're playing the Rams.
that's exactly it. I do that with the Raiders. I'm a Raider fan unless they're playing Arizona, and in which
They'll
case,
be playing game 2.
week 2, we will be
Week
up there.
2.
The EP and I will be at that game in Las Vegas, so it'll be very exciting. Hoping for a Cardinals victory on the road.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a good game too. Yeah, there's a bunch of good games this year.
Oh yeah. I'm just excited for the season.
Good.
It's a fun time for me. It's even though it's busy at work because now we're back to a regular world where we have events and public stuff. Sundays are my day to sit and just enjoy myself, and this is what I choose to do for quite a few Sundays.
It's always bad too because every year I try to put out like a kind of like a New Year's resolution that I'm not going to spend all day on Sunday watching football. I'm not going to spend all day every Sunday watching football. Last year it was not as good as I would have hoped. I probably watched a lot more football than I wanted to. So this year, I'm not going to hold myself to anything. I'm just going to do my best, and it is what it is.
Well, my place where I watch football has brought back the NFL ticket after a 2-year hiatus. And so they have asked me to help set up games on each TV the morning of. So,
oh gosh, wow! You've earned your when you're a norm of a bar like that. You've got
right?
You've got certain responsibilities that come with the job.
And that's what I told. Like, listen, I will tell you which TV needs which game, because regardless, they know since it's in Arizona, the Cardinals go on the big screen with the sound when they're on. So
okay.
Everything else, I'm debating. Like, I'm really looking at the early schedule Sunday morning, trying to decide what's the game, and I can't decide between Baker Mayfield and the Panthers against the Cleveland Browns, or the Bengals and the Steelers, or follow up with some Hard Knocks when the Lions take on the Eagles. There's a lot of good games on the early slot.
and I can't remember, but there's another matchup on the first week that has an old quarterback going against the new quarterback, and I can't remember. Oh, Russell Wilson versus it's
Monday
Sunday
night.
night though,
Yeah.
or Monday night, yeah.
The-
So it's Russell Wilson versus Seattle, but obviously it's a Monday night game. So
Yeah. So it's a great weekend. It's a lot of fun. Janice is going to have to be very flexible with me over the next 22 weeks or so on weekends.
oh, you're screwed, dude.
Yeah.
You'll be going to some cupcake convention. I know it.
That's fine. I mean, who?
It's not fine. I don't know why you're even lying. Like, that's not going to be fine. What are you doing, Scott? You going to watch this great football game? No, I'm going to the cupcake convention.
First of all, a cupcake convention sounds amazing.
Okay. We'll see.
Think of the samples and the diabetes. That's all I'm saying.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. When was the last time you've been to Williams?
I was up there a few weeks ago when we were going camping.
Did you go onto the roller coaster?
No, we tried to go Memorial Day weekend when we were up there, but we just couldn't get over there. We saw it. We could see it from our house, but we didn't get over there to go.
Did you go? Oh, so you also didn't go onto the inner tube slide that they have?
No, I'd like to do that in the wintertime when they have snow on the ground.
Okay, I want to put a plug because Noreen is now official a citizen of Williams as a second home. And so we decided to invite her dad from Tucson, my mom from Las Vegas, and we decided to Airbnb a house in Williams and just spend the weekend kind of getting to know her new second home.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful town.
And,
one of my favorite cities.
And oh my gosh, since the last time I was there, the city has grown so much. I'm surprised and shocked how many new restaurants that I have never heard of before are in Williams now.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to do. It's a lot of fun. It's a beautiful time of year to be up there.
Yes. So shout out to everyone. If you haven't been up there in a while, head up to Williams. Enjoy it. Arizona has jumped leaps and bounds. They have the amusement park or the roller coaster. They've got the slide that goes in the wintertime, so that turns into a snow slide. It's going to be fantastic.
Oh yeah. Plus they have the Polar Express after Thanksgiving through New Year's. It's just a fun town, man. Karaoke at the Canyon Club every Wednesday, Friday, Saturday night. And you can never forget the world famous Sultana. I've never had a bad time in Williams.
So that being said, how often do you vacation with your parents?
How often do I vacation with? The last time I went on a vacation with my parents, like for how long? For like a long weekend or like a week?
Yeah. So because we were there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, go home Monday. So 3.5 days.
Oh, well, Janice and I went and met up with my parents in Williams over Memorial Day, but that was only for 2 nights.
Okay.
Prior to that, I would say a week in San Diego back in 2015.
And how would you describe your experience vacationing with your parents?
It's pretty mellow.
Okay.
I mean, we're all independent people.
Okay.
So obviously there's happy hours and there's things you go do, but you can kind of come and go. Especially in San Diego, we had a house, so you sit on the porch and read. You can go to the beach. You can go to a bar or whatever. It's a good time.
Okay, that's awesome. So I have to talk a little bit about my experience because I had a great time with with Ed, who's Noreen's father, and my mom, who came down from Vegas. I had a great time, but I also recognize that there are certain characteristics of elderly parents that you didn't see when they were younger and you were younger. And so, like, my mom is going to be 79 in January, and Ed just celebrated his 92nd birthday in April. And the interactions with elderly people is, like I said, it just changes from what I used to, when I used to do it 10, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's changed a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I always wondered how I love my mom. I know Noreen loves her dad, but traveling with them and trying to balance what their expectations are, what our expectations are, it was a little tougher this time around than it was, maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah. And I think that's the hard part when you're traveling with your parents. You don't see your parents age per se. You don't see yourself age. So you still think they can go do the stuff they used to when you were younger. You don't realize that maybe they've slowed down a little bit. Their interests have changed, and yours in the same light.
Well,
So
like to start the trip, my mom was going to drive down from Vegas, and she had a really tough time kind of understanding my verbal directions. Not a tough time understanding, but she was really nervous about getting there. And I said, no, you're going to drive right past Boulder City on the new highway, hit Kingman, head east, and then take the Williams exit. Okay, but Jason, but okay, do I go into Boulder City? No, 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 Mom. No, you don't have to go into Boulder City anymore. Just go past Boulder City to Kingman, get on I-40, head east, like you're going toward Phoenix, but you're going to go to Williams. Okay, wait a minute. And I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm over inundating her with what I would think would be normal instructions, but she was having a really tough time understanding what I was telling her. And I realized, my mom from 10 years ago, this wouldn't have been an issue.
yeah, I mean, I think when you start to notice your parents lose a step, that's when you realize that age might be catching up to them a little bit. Tom and I noticed that with my dad last Christmas.
Yeah,
We went for the Raider
feel like
Bronco.
my mom is, yeah, she's kind of a planner. Like she has to kind of plan.
Yeah.
And when she hasn't made that trip ever, always has been with me, or she's taken a guided tour to the Grand Canyon. When it came up like that, she was a little nervous about it, and I recognized that for the first time that, that might be something that we have to take into consideration as we get a little bit older, is that traveling a long distance like that might be more of a toll on her than what it used to be.
No, I worry when my parents travel cross country in their fifth wheel and their big truck now. It's just force of habit. They're in their late 60s. My brother and I noticed my dad lost a step last Christmas. Just age. That's what happens. You don't walk as fast as you used to. It's just part of life.
Yeah. How far do they usually go when they get in their fifth wheel?
Well, they just spent 3 weeks traveling to Idaho and up by your old stomping grounds up in Washington. So
wow.
they were up
okay,
in
so
the
it's a
San
lot of
Juans.
driving. Yeah.
Yeah, so they were quite a ways up there, and they had no problem doing the trip, but still, I mean, there gets to a certain point. My mom and I've had these conversations of when are you going to stop doing it like this and just fly and whatnot. My dad hates to fly, but
Oh. Well, and I noticed that this trip, the traveling part for her, she did it and she did fine, but she has to plan it out much more now. Like it's not like doing a spontaneous, hey, let's just get in the car and go. Is probably out for her. Yeah, it's probably out for her because I just think that mentally it's just overwhelming to her just to get in the car and start driving. Another thing I noticed about my mom is even though we have the technology now on our phones to do GPS, she uses the 10-year-old Garmin, that one of those big black Garmin things where you type in the address and you have to download the map every 6 months, to update it. She still uses that and will not use her phone at all.
Oh, okay. Well, that's just what some people are comfortable with. And if the map's updated every 6 months, is that really a terrible thing?
Let me ask you this. Okay, I think this might be the real question. Do you have the patience level to accept the things that your parents do that you say, you know what, that's a little antiquated, but go ahead and it doesn't bother you?
I have had to learn to deal with that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing I learned from this trip is there's a lot of things that I just need to be a lot more patient on and say, it doesn't really matter that she does it differently than I do it.
Yeah. I deal with my parents with that, with the cable in their house and so forth. They refuse to get direct TV in their house because my dad is convinced the wiring is not thick enough to handle that kind of HD. But they have HD in their house with the current cable. It's all digital now anyway.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, okay.
So you just learn. You learn to pick and choose your battles, and that's just the way it is. You know, you can't tell them what modern technology is or what's going to happen. My mom's pretty good with keeping up with it, but my dad is just it's rough sometimes.
Well, and I felt like I was sometimes getting a little short with my mom, and it was unintentional, but it was intentional but unintentional. Like I didn't mean to get short with her, but I just felt like saying, "You're not listening to me, so you're discounting maybe some insight that I might have." And toward the end of the trip, I was like, "Jason, it doesn't matter. If she wants to jump in and do the dishes while you're cooking the dinner,
Let
go.
her,
Let her go. What does it matter?" But
yeah.
at the beginning, I was like, "Mom, I'm in the kitchen cooking. Can you stay out of the kitchen?" But then toward the end of the trip, I realized, Jason, if she wants to help you with doing the dishes and wants to feel valued, let her go. Who
Yeah.
cares?
What's
But
it gonna hurt?
now, and so this is the biggest eye opener for my traveling this time. Most of my mom's a world traveler. She's been a world traveler for a very long time, and she's traveled all over the world. I mean, there's not a continent that she hasn't been to. Most countries, no matter where you would be, she's been around to know all of those people. But traveling down to Williams, we had to plan out to make sure, okay, are we going to be able to do this hike? Are we going to be able to get should we walk downtown or should we drive downtown park and then let us walk? And I had to start accommodating for those things because she looks young, but she's 70, almost 79 years old. I mean, she's not
Yeah.
a young chicken.
Well, you have, like I said, those are things you have to account for. You just have to think about it and just give them the option. It's funny to me because I don't look at those things. I just plan it and go. And you know, it's funny, but I'm part of my job is planning, is making sure things are covered. So I don't think twice about it. They're coming with us to that football game in a couple weeks, and I know I'm driving. I know I've got to take care of the parking. I took care of getting the tickets, and everything's digital, so they're all on my phone. You know, it's things that they could figure out if they had to, but it's just easier if I take the burden off because it's way less hassle.
How
And
do you balance accommodating their needs versus accommodating your needs when you're traveling on vacation?
well, that's a great question. I haven't had to deal with that in 6 years, so I really don't know how to answer that. I'm pretty easy in going with the flow. Like
Okay.
if I know what I want to go do, I'll go
Yeah.
do it. It's not a big deal for me.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go do what I want to go do, and I don't necessarily want you to go with me if you don't want to go, but you're not gonna stop me from doing it either.
So, for example, you and your parents have an arrangement where, hey, if I go and do this activity and you don't want to go, that's fine. I'm not going to accommodate to say, well, what do you want to do so we can do something together?
Yeah, and well, there's stuff that you still do like that. There's still like obviously dinners, trips, like little excursions, but you still have to have some time for you to do the things you want to do, just on your own.
And you obviously and your parents have kind of worked that out that, hey, there's going to be times where mom and dad are going to go by themselves and you guys can do whatever you want.
Well, yeah, because we're in our 40s and they're in their late 60s. I mean, that's just what happens. We're all independent people.
Oh, okay. Because some people like Ed, Noreen's father, he's 92 and legally blind. So,
Yeah,
if we tried to go to Sycamore Falls, which is a beautiful, what's
yeah,
the second largest canyon in the United States or second largest canyon in Arizona? One of the
something
two.
like that. Yeah,
It's a very big canyon in Arizona. Well, there's a beautiful viewpoint of the falls, and I guess a couple weeks ago there was so much water in the area that there was actually falls coming down.
yeah. That's the weekend we went. Yeah,
Yeah, so we were talking about my mom and her dad and taking them to go see the falls. Well, when we got there, I didn't realize how rocky the trail is to get to the falls. Well, when you're legally blind in 92,
you
it's
can't do
almost
that.
impossible to do
Yeah,
that. Well, so we took him a little ways onto the trail and realized, oh, there's no way that he can do this. So Noreen stayed with him and they kind of just sat and talked while my mom and Sam and myself walked down to the falls. Well, even the trip down, my mom was like, Jason, I have to stop. I'm winded. I'm winded. I'm like, oh, I've never had to deal with this before with my mom, because she's
yeah.
kind of a little firecracker. She just goes, but it was just weird because I didn't accommodate for that because I looked at her from 10 years ago.
Yeah,
So
well, like I said, if you see and talk to people on a regular basis, you don't generally see them age like that.
yeah, yeah,
Point of order, also, just even if there's a good chance Sycamore Canyon is the second largest canyon in Arizona and in the world, or the country, because we do have that other canyon, the Grand one,
the bigger one, yeah,
the bigger
the
one,
big one.
slightly grander than the one we're discussing right now.
Yeah, as the crow flies, 200 miles long. By the
Wow.
way, that's one thing good about having my mom is that she Googled what is the length of the Grand Canyon because she was interested because she was so fascinated with the Sycamore Canyon that she saw. And I told her the story. She goes, "Oh, I'm going to find out how long the Grand Canyon is." And I said, "Oh, and that's way."
Thank God
So
for Google.
That's right. That's right.
Oh,
But
yeah. No, you just sit and you learn, and that's just being flexible. And at a certain point, you start to raise your parents. The foot, everything switches to the other foot. They get to a certain point where they stop caring about technology and they stop caring about certain things, and you can't say you blame them. So you have to start looking after them and making sure that they're doing certain things to stay, up in today's world. My parents did it with my grandparents. I am doing it with ours. Our EP Tom gets a little bit of a reprieve since he's not local, but that's part of the deal that we made. He can go off and do whatever he wants to go do. I'm fine being here looking after him. It's no big deal for me.
How have you dealt, or how has it been dealing with the idea that your parents, even as they get older, maybe a little bit more diminished, want to maintain the control that they might have had 10 years ago in terms of, I'm capable of doing this. Do you ever have those kind of conflicts with your parents?
Half and half. My mom is very good about, handle it. Tell me what you need us to do. My dad is still very headstrong, and it's funny. I think a lot of people, as they grow up, their dads become their friends and so forth. And my dad is my brother's friend and my friend, but he's still very much trying to be a parent. Well, for us, well into our 40s, and it gets frustrating sometimes. But you just learn to roll with it. And that's just part of his personality.
And that's one thing that Noreen and I deal with our. Yeah, Noreen and I have that with our parents. That both of them, while they're older, they still feel like I'm the parent, so I need to tell you how to do things. I need to, be kind of directing on what should be done. And it's a hard thing for me to be patient with sometimes because I say I'm a 50-year-old man.
Yeah.
I can do these things myself. And my way of doing it is perfectly fine. There might be alternative ways of doing something, but the way I'm doing it is perfectly adequate. Your input on my way of doing it may or may not be required or necessary. And so I had to kind of learn, like, you know what, she's trying to help. She's trying to do it the way that it works for her. And that's okay. But it was, there was a couple times where I was like, wow, why are you telling me how to do something that I've done this before? I'm pretty capable, I'm pretty capable of knowing how to do that.
I've learned to balance that. We all handle it differently. I tend to throw them a bone and ask them some generic things. I already know what I'm going to do and how I'm going to do it. But, I'll ask them just to say, hey, what do you think?
Yeah.
And, I'll take it, quote unquote, under advisement. Then I'll go do however I'm going to go do it. My brother just waits and tells him after the fact, so he doesn't have to deal with any of it.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea, too. That's a really good idea. See, you Kern boys are really smart.
Well, we handle things differently. I mean, but the job gets done no matter what. That's the important thing.
One thing that this weekend also taught me is learning what things not to do to my younger generation, whoever ends up taking care of me, what things not to do so that it makes their life easier. Because you learn things like, ooh, that really drives me nuts. Okay, I'm going to put a mental note. I don't want to do that when I get older. I don't want to be that person.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's a big part of growing up is learning who you don't want to be as much as learning who you want to be.
Speaking of that, have you told Janice that you are my caregiver when I get older?
No, I was going to surprise her when you moved in.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, just maybe throw a bone to her like in a couple few years when the realization comes that I need help, that you're my caregiver.
Well, that's fine. I think she'll understand. Just when you're here one day and just don't you never leave.
Oh yes, nice.
I mean, and I think she'd be down with it because by then she'll want somebody else to talk to. So there'll be plenty of sake and whiskey. You guys have a great time.
That's right. The one thing I will kind of, as we wrap it up, the one thing I will acknowledge though is even though there were a couple moments where my mom and I got tense with each other, it was so nice to see her. I haven't seen her since last Thanksgiving, and she hadn't left Vegas for 3 years since COVID, before COVID.
So she needed to get out.
Yeah. And she and I are both only children, and other than my 2 kids, we're the only family that we have. I mean, it's her and me.
Yeah.
And as we've gotten older, we've kind of formed a different kind of friendship and bond that allows her to be patient with my idiot mentality, and for me to be patient with her. And it was just really nice to see. Spending time with family, I can see why people do family reunions and stuff. It is kind of fun.
Yeah, it's like everything else. It's fun to see them, but it's also fun to leave them.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is.
Yeah,
So if you've had a great Labor Day experience, or you want to talk about your NFL picks this year, or talk about a family vacation you've had, hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all at Liquid Carnage. If you want to take on our EP Tom in a DraftKings style fantasy league week 1, hit us up on Liquid_EP on Twitter and Instagram, and he's happy to at least contemplate thinking about playing you.
Is that what you do? Do you do the DraftKings fantasy leagues like that?
I dabble.
Okay, I haven't dabbled yet. I haven't dabbled with DraftKings yet on that.
That's an interesting concept for me because it's a salary cap league, and I'm very intrigued with that. But I like it to where when you take the player at that price, nobody else gets the player at that price. And that's a league where however you want to build your team with your money is up to you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see.
All right.
So, with that being said, take us home while you're driving yourself home.
Yes, as I drive home, shout out to all the families out there. We do love you, even though you drive us nuts or we drive you nuts. We do love you. That was Scott. I am Jason, and as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some liquor.